Hey folks, this is Nate coming at you. First thing is this has probably been the most challenging saber demo that I've ever tried to record. This is like my 6th or 7th take on trying to get this one right. So hopefully we're more successful this time. So this demo is the Graflex blue sets that I use, the custom blue colors that I use in my Proffie library for each of the different Graflex blues in each of the Star Wars movies that it appears in. So I have a Graflex blue value for A New Hope, for Empire Strikes Back, for Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. So what I'm going to demo for you is all 5 of those variants, and within each one I have 2 separate blade styles. So what I've tried to do is for each blue value, I put together a static single color blade style so that you can just see like that, the color in its purest form, and then I've created a blended style preset. So something like a audio flicker or hump flicker or a random LED flicker, something with, blended ratios of that blue so you can sort of see the difference. So first one is A New Hope, and this is a really light blue. And this is probably the hardest one because the original values I came up with for this one came across on the screen as almost pure white, even though in the style editor it looked correct. So for folks who are testing these types of values, like when you look at a screen in Star Wars and you're like looking at the color and then you're trying to capture it in style editor won't show you how it comes out on the blade. It's going to be a little bit different. So this is A New Hope blue. This is like almost an ice blue. It's a very, very light pale blue, but and this is the single color value. Now for most of the blasts and clashes throughout, I kind of did some uniform. I made them about as uniform as I could. So the blasts are mostly orange, red, or red. And I'm doing like a corn silk or a light yellow spark layer inside of the blast to give it some texture. And then the clashes and lockup on most of these are either going to run like a light yellow / corn silk, or they're going to run like closer to a light red, like a moccasin, depending on the movie, right? So that's A New Hope, first variant. Second one.
What is it? Father's lightsaber. The weapon of a Jedi Knight.
This is an audio flicker. So this is going to have, so again, this is blended, and you can see the flicker on the blade here. So this is going to be blended with its main RGB value and then a ratio of its RGB value, I think either at 75% or at 50%, I forget which. I think I may have ratioed this color at 75% just to lessen the severity of the flicker. So if I'd done it at 50%, I think the flicker would have been a little bit harder than this one. But
What is it? Father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
Commander Skywalker, do you copy?
Empire Strikes Back. This is a little bit deeper blue. We're still in the light blue family, but this is a little bit darker blue. Also on this one, to sort of give it a little bit more string accuracy touch feel, I'm using an emitter wick on this one. Some of you may notice in the fight scene on Bespin, when he ignites it, it does that the scoping of the saber fight. It gives that blade that sort of that floating look, like it's a candle wick. You can also see that same effect in A New Hope with the fight between Vader and Ben Kenobi. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so this is it's a little bit lighter blue, and this first one is not static. This is it's either a audio flicker or a hump flicker. It's got a flicker.
Why didn't you tell me?
I forget if I made a static one for the Empire Strikes Back.
Commander Skywalker, do you copy?
No, I made flicker blades for both Empire Strikes Back. I didn't make a static blade for Empire Strikes Back. So one is an audio flicker, the other one's a hump flicker. I think this is the custom hump flicker, because the sparking effect is a little bit more. It's a little bit stronger, so this is going to be my custom hump flicker. Probably, I think this is set to like a 15 hump size. So this is your Empire Strikes Back Graflex blue.
That lightsaber was Luke's.
This is Force Awakens. Now we're still in the light blue family, but you can see here there's a little bit more green. Probably about 20-30% more green in the mix. This, so I have to say, this was one of the more challenging blues to nail down. And the reason why is the first time that I saw the blade ignited, the first time we see it ignited is in the dark. When Finn ignites it, he basically says, "Come and get it," and he lights it, right? So you're in the forest at night, so it's really dark. So the blade looks like a really, really, really bright blue against the dark backdrop. So what you don't see right away is it just looks like a really, really bright blue. But as you start to look at the other scenes throughout the fight, especially like when the saber gets swung around, you start to see that the blue isn't just a bright true blue. It's actually a bright, almost like a cyan blue, right? So this originally I was going to try and make this like a true blue, and just elevate the red and green channels to make it lighter. But then after looking at a few more shots in slow-mo, I realized no, this is actually more of a 70% blue, 30% green type mixture. Sort of like a half step close to a cyan, which is sort of how they must have tricked the viewer on camera into seeing the blue for brighter than it, to sort of add to the brightness. Anyway, probably not as interesting for some of you that don't dabble around in Proffie RGB values as much, but it's one of those things that tricks the eye when you're talking about brightness versus color mixture. Sometimes you can use one to produce the effect of the other, and that's just something I've slowly been learning and trying to understand better. But I'll admit I'm still a novice when it comes to it. Fumbling around in the dark, literally. So this is the Force Awakens, and this is a single color static. So let's see the blended version.
That lightsaber was Luke's.
And this is a hump flicker version. Set this hump flicker, this hump size value to 18, just to give it a nice Some nice business here on the blade. Nice activity. Lock-up colors on this one, as well as the Clash, are more in the light yellow lemon chiffon family. So, you know, sort of light off-white yellow, mid-yellows, lemon, that sort of thing. I've been using corn silk as the transition color because it's a nice, softer transition color. Okay, so on to The Last Jedi.
Something inside me has always been there, but now it's awake.
That's my daughter. Last Jedi. So now we're getting back into something closer to the blue value for A New Hope. However, the difference is that in The Last Jedi, this blue is just as bright, but with less green. So it's actually a little bit different mixture. Also on this one, I put just a tad bit of a bright up swing on this one. And that was really more something for screen accuracy, because again, in the fight scene, for example, in the council chambers on Snoke's ship, you do see a brighter swing effect on the Graflex when Rey is fighting with it. So that was the static single color version.
Something inside me has always been there, but now it's awake.
And then this is the hump flicker version. And I'm also using a bright swing on this one as well. The last one is the Rise of Skywalker.
I'm all the Jedi.
Rise of Skywalker is the most unique of all the blues. This is definitely closer to a cyan. In fact, it's about 80% cyan. So it's something like a 225 on the green channel and a 255 on the blue channel. So it's really, really close to a cyan. Now, the sampling of the blade color I took were especially from two spots, mostly. I didn't sample it as much from the final scene from fighting with Palpatine. I sampled it predominantly from the fight she has with Kylo Ren on the ocean, just outside the fallen piece of the Death Star. And then I also took a lot of sample colors from her training scene at the start of the film, where she ignites the saber and is fighting the remotes. So that's where I took most of my color sampling for this blade. And then again, this is a single color static. And then this is a custom hump flicker, and this one's got a much smaller hump size. So this is like a hump size of like five or seven, I think. Now, one of the things I saw that was really interesting when I went back to look at these scenes again, specifically for Rise of Skywalker, is that on the fight on the floating sort of metallic pieces on the ocean, they're fighting inside of crashing waves, and so that almost gave a very there are a couple of scenes where the blade looks really, really unstable, almost like so it's hard to explain. But anyway, I was thinking about doing this particular style code in that hyper unstable version I have, where it sort of rests in a solid color, and then when you move it, it has that sort of unstable texture on the blade. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a version of the Rise of Skywalker Graflex with that blade design, because I think that might really capture the sort of the blade effect that happens when she and Kylo are fighting on that sail barge, or on those floating Death Star pieces on the ocean. So anyway.
Battery power level.
What is it? Fathers like to
So those are my blue values. This is 5 different ones, 2 presets per value. So what I'll do is I'll do 2 things. I'm going to put the style codes for each of these up in Pastebin like I always do, and then I'll leave the URL for the Pastebin link in the video description. But for those of you who just want to grab the color values and you don't really care about the style codes, I'll just put the different color values for each of these that I use in the video description as well. So if you just want those, just go ahead and grab them and have fun with them. Anyway, thanks for watching, y'all. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care.